Well, little by little, she's taking shape. So I've got Rudy's doors on, and I've got sound deadener on both. Got new seals. I put sound deadener on the inside of these access panels as well. So it's got a nice, tight feel to it. Both doors. This door doesn't fit quite as well because of the tree damage way back when, if you remember me working on that cab to get that tree damage out, as well as it's gotten hit back here at some point, so it's kind of pushed this part of the cab up a little bit, so it's a little closer right here, but it still closes really nicely. Got a good tight seal. And when the windows are up, actually you have to close it a little bit harder because of the pressure that is in the cab. So I'm pretty happy with what kind of seal I'm getting in there. Looking forward to taking it down the road for the first time and kind of getting an idea of what kind of road noise it's got. But as I suspected, the more I've kind of added weight-wise to the truck, namely the doors and the front clip, it's getting lower and lower. And it's pushing these wheels way up in the fender wells, and you know, there's probably about 1.5 inches of clearance there. And what few times I've kind of moved it around in the driveway, I'm getting a lot of tire rubbing. So that's going to be the next thing to address here. Again, pretty close. I've got the lower fender keeper down here. I just basically welded a bracket coming off of the rocker panel there, just to kind of keep the lower part of the fender on there, as far as keeping that from attaching that down there, keep it from moving around. So I was out, happened to be out looking at some heavy equipment with my father-in-law last fall, and came across I think it was a F500 or F600 dump truck, and I noticed that the fenders on those trucks are different. They have kind of a wider opening, and they're pushed out quite a bit, a lot wider through here. Actually, there's a turn signal that sits up here, a marker light that sits up there on those trucks. And so that kind of gave me an idea to kind of start looking around online to see if maybe those fenders would actually fit on this truck. And then I ran across a blog or a forum somewhere where a guy that had basically a custom truck like this that had some 20s or 22-inch rims, much taller tires, lower profile, or taller rims and lower profile tires on there, actually push this portion out by cutting all the way down kind of this ridge, and just pushing this, you know, just bringing this part of the fender out, and then they just welded a strip in here all the way down. And so I am strongly considering doing that, because I think that's going to be my solution for my tire rubbing, because I've got to do something, obviously, and I think that wouldn't look too bad. I think it might work well actually with my plans to widen the bed, because again, I'm going to widen, my plans right now are to widen the bed, probably put about 7 or 8 inches in the bed, so I push those Flareside fenders out. So, you know, these tires are inside the fender wells. I really don't want them sticking out of the fender wells, and I think they're going to stick out as it is right now, and that's going to be a problem. So I think if I widen the rear of the truck, fenders of the truck, and kind of widen the front, it might look pretty cool. And again, I'll probably just kind of leave the raw pieces, you know, the weld work and everything in there. It'll kind of match all the rest of the work that I've done on the truck. So I think tomorrow I may embark on that. We'll see. I'm gonna sleep on it. Okay, Okay, so I've slept on it overnight and I've decided pushing these fender well openings out is about my only option as far as dealing with this tire rubbing. And I just don't really have any turning radius whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get these taped off. Basically kind of come up here and then come down around the grill opening down to a certain point. Probably end up coming almost to this area that's rusted out here. I'm going to have to patch that anyway. And then just sort of peel this thing open. Probably going to put a piece of metal in there and put a couple welding clamps on it to kind of see how far I've got to push it out, and then drive the truck and kind of move them out until I don't have any more rubbing. And then that's where they're going to be. And then we'll just weld them up, put some 18 gauge metal in there, and move on to the next thing. So that's what I'm going to be working on this morning. Okay, I've got the cut lines taped out here, and basically just going to run it all the way down kind of to where that patch panel is, somewhere down there. I'll kind of see how flexible it is once I get the cut down to that point. I just used some calipers here to kind of just roughly measure so I could get kind of both sides the same. And I'm going to try my jigsaw with a metal cutting blade, kind of a fine metal cutting blade on there. Take a cutting disc, make an opening in there, and then see if I can use my jigsaw. Just put a little bit of painter's tape on the foot plate of the jigsaw so it doesn't scratch the paint up too badly. Probably never even see it if it did. But so that's the driver's side, and passenger side. I got a few little dents already in that fender, but I think basically the cut lines are going to miss the majority of those. So that's what it looks like, and we'll get it cut. Okay, so I got the cuts made, and the jigsaw worked like magic. Cut through that like butter, very controlled cuts. So I was right where I wanted to be. The lower part here I had to cut down into this rusty part, and then it kind of came apart on me. But I ended up having to push the fender opening out about 3 inches, kind of down through here where this is kind of straight. Pushed it out about 3 inches before I eliminated all my tire rubbing. So now I can go lock to lock. That's not even without that's even without rolling the inner part of the fender. So if I ever change the wheels or do anything like that, I can always kind of roll the fenders a little bit if I need a little bit extra. But right now, full lock to lock, no rubbing. So I'm going to get some metal welded up in here. Okay, so I got this first piece kind of tacked in here. I got it shaped on the front part of the fender, and I think this is actually 17 gauge. It's not 16. 16, the feeler gauge is loose on that, but it's about 17 gauge. I didn't have any 18 gauge to use, so pretty heavy stuff. It's got a significant amount of mill scale on it as well, so I'm trying to get the mill scale off so I'll have good welds. So it comes back and ends about right here, and then it kind of starts to taper down a little bit on the back. And I do have a little bit of 18 gauge left, but not enough for all of it. So I'm probably going to use the thinner stuff, the 18 gauge, back here, where I've got to shape it a little bit more, as well as closing this bit up here. But it's coming along okay so far. So just get this finished up. Okay, so the driver's side, all the metal is in, pretty much done. I had to kind of put it in sections, but I think it turned out pretty good. So I've just got to finish up the rest of the welds. I got one more piece to put in the other side, the passenger side, this front piece. I've got to get that in, and then I've got to fix this lower portion here. at some point. But anyway, that's how it's looking so far. Okay, so that's pretty much the last large piece of metal to go in. So pretty much got both sides widened. So Reese looks like he's gained a little weight. He's got a little fuller cheeks now. I got one little slim piece to put in down here. I've got to fix, I got a good bit of rust in the lower part on the other fender. Probably going to do that once I take the fenders back off again. Because I'm going to take the front clip off again when I replace my condenser and accumulator and everything. And then hopefully the front clip will be going back on for the final time permanently because it's all fitting very well. I'm very happy with how well it's fitting. Hopefully it'll continue to fit well after I've done this to the fenders. We'll see, but I think we'll be fine. So I'm probably going to wrap this one up. I'll probably do kind of this will be a fender widening episode, the front clip. So I just got to finish up these welds and then we'll be kind of moving on. So I think this is going to be a pretty good solution for the tire rubbing. If your cab is sitting as low as mine, might be something for you to consider. I don't know, but anyway, there you go. So thanks for watching. Appreciate you tuning in, following along, etc. Appreciate all the comments. Hope you're getting some good tips from this series for your build, because that's really the main purpose of why I'm kind of putting it out there. So maybe it'll benefit somebody in the future. So again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.